Welcome to Doing Different, Episode 7. This podcast is my personal project inspired by my experiences with Modern Prairie that has a social media app created for women over 50. This is an independent effort and not officially affiliated with or produced by Modern Prairie. My platform was created for like-hearted women aging gracefully and finding their voice. We have a variety of subjects ranging from empty nesters, widows, chronic pain, cancer, caregiving, divorce, mental illness, addiction, authors, community leaders, podcasters, career women, and so much more. My guest today is Laura Carney, the author of the book titled My Father's List. She is a writer and a magazine copy editor in New York and has been published by the Washington Post, Associated Press, The Hill, Runner's World, Good Housekeeping, The Fix, Upworthy, and Maria Shriver's The Sunday Paper, as well as many other places. At the age of 38, Laura wrote her book, My Father's List, in which she embarked on 54 adventures in 6 years after finding her late father Mick's bucket list. Laura, with the help of family, friends, and even strangers, found the courage to go after her own dreams after realizing those of her father, who was killed by a distracted driver. Her story is about secrets and the freedom we feel when we learn to trust again in life, love, and a father's lessons on how to fully live. Laura and I met on an online app called Modern Prairie, a community for women aging gracefully who are learning to live different. Different from what was to what is now. In that community, Laura is a co-leader with Stacy Lauren in the Prairie Pioneer Project Circle. Say that quickly. Prairie Pioneer Project Circle. This is a free, safe space for those who join and want to achieve their bucket list goals and dreams, to follow their heart and find their voice. It is a 14-day challenge. And how often is that? Is it every 3 months that's a 14 month?
Like seasonal.
And it promises incredible changes, new friendships, and the opportunity to step outside comfort zones. And let me tell you, I am 100% living proof that this works. Here at Doing Different, we are not invisible, and we share our voices boldly in hopes of helping others to find theirs. Laura, I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you for being my guest on Doing Different. Can you tell our audience about how you took that first step in writing your book and how you became the co-leader of the Prairie Pioneer Project on Modern Prairie?
Well, thank you for that introduction. That was probably the best intro I've ever had. And I love that it's the PPP. It is hard to say all of it.
PPP.
Yeah, we like the alliteration when we came up with it.
Or the 3 Ps.
Well, and our symbol is the Conestoga wagon. And I was thinking the other day, isn't that funny that like I helped start a group that has a Conestoga wagon, and yet part of my thing before with my book was that my dad was killed by a driver.
Yeah.
And now I identify with the old-fashioned version of a car or a stage.
Wow. I know, right?
Yeah, but that actually, I think that ties in pretty nicely with at the end of doing my dad's list. And that was when, at that point, I already had a book deal and I already had half the book written. But the last one I did was drive a Corvette. And it was something that helped me to get back in touch with the fun of driving. We found this really nice man who was a friend of a friend, and he heard about my project, and he lived in Pennsylvania, and he was willing to help me drive it. But I realized like pretty shortly before I met him that he lived like 20 minutes away from where my dad died.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to go through the same intersection.
Oh, no.
Panic attack right before I did it. Like something came
Yeah.
up. And I don't usually get those. But I think, that was probably the most important list item. Besides, actually, number three on the list was write and have a few novels published because my dad was a writer and he always wanted to write the great American novel. So
Oh,
I viewed the book, my memoir, as poetic license, as a novel. So that was why I think I did it. Because I mean, I was a writer before. I was like an essay writer for magazines. I would get very lucky and get published once in a blue moon. Mostly, I was the person who fixed the spelling. And that's a very quiet, not outward facing job, even though it felt glamorous because I was at Good Housekeeping and it's not very easy to get a job there.
yeah.
It was a thing where was kind of hidden. And also even the nature of being a copy editor, which I still do now to pay the bills, and I do really enjoy it. It's just like another part of my life. But one of the hallmarks of being a good copy editor is that nobody ever sees you because they only see you if you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, or if you didn't catch somebody else's mistake, then suddenly they really see you.
Right,
But the
right.
idea is that you want to be invisible because the person's writing should shine through, and my job is to help the writing be readable, and
Yes.
make it be perfect. So it definitely was a big shift for me to take on this mission of honoring my dad. We found the list the same year I got married, so I always view it as his wedding gift.
Oh,
Um,
right,
Finally helped me to honor him in a way where I got to process my grief the way I needed to. And I think it's because it empowered me, like I was getting to express these emotions, but in a positive way through remembering how much fun he had all the time,
right,
and I always thought it was an activism thing I was doing because I wanted people to see, oh, you know what? When people die in these car crashes, they're real people. Like my dad had a list of dreams nobody knew about, and it
that's
sat
right.
in my brother's house for 13 years, and we didn't even know it was there. But now I think what happened, and I actually just realized this yesterday, and I cried because I thought it was so beautiful. Now I think what happened was my dad helped me, his spirit helped me to get to a place where I'm the teacher and the writer and the speaker I'm supposed to be.
Oh, right.
But I was
That's
never,
beautiful.
yeah, but I was never going to get there if I
Right.
was like still angry about his death, still trying to hide my feelings, still just taking jobs where I was sort of hiding from the world. So
Yeah.
I think that's why when the book came out, and then, through a friend of a friend, I got to meet Nicole Haze, and she had me be interviewed by Melissa, which I was very nervous about. And then I got to work with Modern Prairie. Like, I think I was sort of ready. Like, I was ready to now be this person. But it wasn't an easy shift for me because I am
Right.
generally like a very quiet, introverted person. And suddenly, this like person who likes to speak and write and just do so publicly had to come out, basically.
Wow, that's a huge change too.
Yeah.
And it's a process as well. It doesn't happen overnight. And you've been walking it. And I've seen um, just by what you have been doing in the circle, in PPP circle, I've seen such a positive response. So from you coming out of your shell to help others, it's a full circle and it's helping you as well. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit because from you coming out of that, I'll just say shell, coming out of your shell and going ahead and co-leading this circle has brought so much growth not only to the community in Modern Prairie, but also I believe to you and Stacy as well, because you grow when you teach, you grow. You're hearing yourself teaching, you're hearing it and it's helping you to grow. I know I do. So I've seen some positive responses and it's helped me personally. I can speak for myself. It's helped me to follow my heart and find my voice, which led me in the production of this podcast and also to offer some painting tutorials, which that is what I've always wanted to do. Not just do a podcast to have other people's voices heard or have people seen that always are in the background, like what you were talking about. Like, I want those who feel unseen and unheard, who are in the background. I want them to come forth and
Yep.
to speak and to be seen and to, because they have so much to share and they're afraid, they're scared, they're shy, they're afraid. They don't think they'll ever be able they got so much inside of them that needs to come out, and they don't know how that's going to happen. And so that's why I love finding your voice and following your heart, because, and what I say, my mantra is just do it. Just do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't overthink it. Don't analyze it. If you want to do it, just do it, you know? So I just think that there's been so much growth in the community, and I've seen it in other people as well. I've seen it in you as well too, and just the little time that I've in a year that I belonged in the circle. And also, I know that you mentioned to me that you've grown from this following your heart in regards to being a little braver and about using your voice when it's needed and not using it when it's not needed. So can you tell me a little bit about why that is? Like, how have you learned? Because I need to learn. I mean, I'm finding my voice. I'm walking it out right now. It comes easy to me to talk. It's when not to talk. That's
Yeah.
what I need. So I'm asking you to tell me and our audience, how do you know, how do you know when your voice is needed and when it's not? Give
Yes,
me
it's
an
a
example
very good
of that.
question. Well, I think my dad's list taught me that, ironically enough, because it helped me be brave enough to write a book,
Yeah.
which I sort of, it's not like I ever necessarily wanted to be a book author. Like I remember recently we had a meeting and Jamie said, it's so cool that we get to talk to a book author. And I was like, oh, I don't think of myself as a book author. Like this weird thing. But yeah, technically I am. But I mean, it's because I just wanted to be a journalist. That's what I still identify as. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. And I just had a book in me because of events that transpired when I was 25. And I always like to say it was too long to be an article. That's sort of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
But while doing my dad's bucket list was giving me my chapters, and it was sort of giving me the structure the story needed, and making it not just a sad story but also a fun story and an inspiring story. At the same time, I got injured from one of the list items,
Mm.
from doing the tennis item. I pulled a tendon or a tore a tendon in my left foot while I was playing day one playing tennis. The item was beat a number one seed in a tennis tournament. And I ignored it for months. I thought, well, it's probably just like a broken toe. I taped it to my other toe. I'm just like walking all summer like that. And I walked a lot
Oh
that summer
my
because I was
gosh.
working in New York. I wasn't like driving to my job. And then by the end of the summer, I saw a podiatrist finally, and he's like, yeah, you need surgery.
Oh,
And then I
wow.
got surgery for it a couple months later. First, I took a trip to London for the list and with my family, walking around with a cortisone shot in my foot, you know, and when I came back, I got the surgery. And isn't it funny how when you get surgery for something like that, they don't totally prepare you for how
Right.
tough you're actually going to be. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
it'll be a month and you'll be better. No,
Right.
I was on the couch for 2 months and I had to
Oh
like
my.
let my husband make me oatmeal. And I think I probably lost 10 pounds during that time just because I've since put it back on. But during that time, it was like I couldn't really get up and make food for myself. So it made it easier to do that. But I also got very weak. I got very like,
Yeah. It must
not
have been very painful. How did you get past that pain?
Well, they gave me Percocet, which is I found out I take an antidepressant, so I found out that was actually a really bad idea. Like the interaction wasn't great.
Yeah.
Like getting
Been
off of
there,
it,
done that. Been
yeah,
there,
getting
done
off
that.
of it was extra hard for me.
Yeah.
It didn't, I mean, it wasn't like dangerous, the interaction, but I still think it had some interaction with it. Because I remember one point I said to my husband, this is the worst I've ever felt in my whole life. And he's like, that can't possibly be true. But
Oh,
that's how
I've
I
been there,
feel. Yeah.
done that. Was on Percocet for 7 months after I got run over.
Gosh.
7 months. And I
Yeah.
think I had a heart attack.
I mean, it felt great when I was
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's coming down. And
Yeah.
also weaning off of it. That's really, really hard. I mean, I was getting chest pains.
But
It
you
was
know what?
really bad.
I had some really good physical therapy. I started going once a week, and I always feel like, isn't it funny how if you need to get some kind of like physical therapy to your body, it becomes like mental therapy too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and what ended up happening to me, because I'm now walking with a cane and an air cast on my foot, and I
Oh,
had to still work, of course. So I was going into the city like a couple times a week to work. And it was odd because I was going right back into the building where I had previously worked full time. And I had been
Oh,
laid off.
wow.
And I had to be, I remember I would say to myself, God is with me always. Like as I was,
Yes.
I was so nervous, but I needed the work. So I still did it. And I think what ended up happening was I had to go slower. So I just stopped emotionally reacting to things. I
Yeah.
didn't have the energy and I
Yeah.
stopped saying as much as I would normally say because I had to conserve my energy so I could heal. And sometimes I wonder if it wasn't the Corvette or the book writing that was the best list item for me. I wonder if it was that one. Because here I thought I was going to be this tennis star, and like beat a number one seed. And instead, what happened was I became a person who could let my husband help me, who could slow down, and who could just think things all the way through before my Irish gift of gab just came out of my mouth and tried to like fix situations all the time and actually perhaps make them worse.
Oh,
So
I wasn't aware you were Irish. That
I
is
am
so
Irish.
cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know
That's
you've
no,
had some Irish people treat you badly in life.
no. I know. I was going to make a little joke about that. I was going to say, "Oh, maybe I should change the title of my memoir."
Oh yeah, no,
No,
no. Now you
it
have
was
an Irish friend.
yes. Well, I we have Irish in my family too. My brother married an Irish woman, and my other and my nephew married a German woman. We have an international family. We have Mexican, French, Swedish, African American, and Irish, all sorts. And so, no, it was just this particular time in my life when I was a child. I don't know what it was about the 60s and the 70s, and
Yeah,
today I look like a 60s hippie, and that's a long story because I came from a party
that's
and
okay.
didn't have time to take my crown off. But in the 60s and the 70s, it was just something. The towns were separated. You had your Italian towns, your Irish towns, your French towns, and for some reason, everybody hated each other. And as a kid, kids don't know that. Kids
Yeah.
just love everybody. Kids, when you're born at a hospital in the nursery, there's no discrimination
Yeah.
who the
Prejudice is
baby is
flawed.
laying next to, and there's no discrimination in the cemetery either. And it's like, why do we have to be why? And these are adult issues. These are not children issues. The children learn from the adults. So anyway, um, yeah, no, I don't hold it against you for being Irish.
Okay, I won't hold it against you for being French
For
either.
being French, right? Exactly. So, when you played the tennis, had you practiced? Had you played tennis before? Because
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't. Because I have to admit I haven't read all of your book yet because
Oh, that's okay.
I'm a very
Believe
slow
it.
reader, and I've told you my story about reading difficulties and learning disability in school, and so I have a really hard time to focus. And but so you had played tennis
I had,
before?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
this will be good because this can be like a teaser for anyone listening to us who might decide they want to pick it up and read it. Yeah,
Yes.
that was what I noticed a lot doing my dad's bucket list. And believe it or not, like I'm still dealing with this today. I
Oh,
had the
wow.
other day, I just apologized to my friend the other day because I realized I'm still doing this stuff. Anytime I had a list item that I already knew how to do, like tennis, like publishing the book, I didn't totally know how to publish, but I knew how to write to some degree. I would get arrogant and I would think, oh, I'll do this in a day, which is normal, right? You would think that would happen. Like if you already, I played on the tennis team in high school. So like tennis was my
Oh,
sport, you know?
right.
But I had to play against a number one seed and I had never done that before. And he was my husband's best friend and I'm like, okay, go easy on me. And he's a very honest person, so he didn't fully, I don't think he could. I think he's just so good that he couldn't. Maybe
Oh,
maybe that was not as good for him and it just was incredible compared to how I could play. But anyway, that kind of thing would happen to me a lot where if I were arrogant, it just wouldn't work. And I
yeah.
think because when I took on my dad's list and I viewed it as a gift he gave me and almost sort of like a gift I was giving him, what it actually became, and this was about halfway through that I was now doing the tennis one, each list item became something I needed. Like
Yeah.
that was a lesson. There were so many lessons involved in that tennis one that I really needed. And I needed humility, and I had a lot of beginner's luck. I had probably 14 of the items done by the time I did the tennis one. That tennis one actually ended up taking me 3 years to do. And
Wow.
eventually I played it. It was funny because like 2 years after I was healed, I said one day to my husband, because we always play tennis on 4th of July together. That's like our tradition. And this
That's
one
cool.
year, I was like, you know what? You're the number one seed in our house now. Like just as a joke, it came out of my mouth, and I was like, oh, I'll just have to beat you. And I kept thinking my dad would have thought that was hilarious, that like I'm now
Right.
playing tennis with my husband, because apparently he used to ask my mom to play tennis with him all the time, and she was like, my mom is like so handy. She was probably like wallpapering something, like she was like doing that, like,
My
okay,
mom too.
one of the babies needed. And my dad's like, let's go play tennis. Like that was
Right.
their personalities. So I felt like, gosh, this tennis thing has really become the secret to having a good marriage. Like that's what it ended up being.
Wow. And did you beat him?
I did, but only like in one game. Like I never got to the
Oh,
point where but again, I was still healing. Like
yeah.
before that time, I should mention that before that time, before I got injured, I was always better than him because I played on
Oh,
a team and tennis wasn't really his thing. But he really loves ping
right.
pong. That's his thing.
Oh, wow. I used to play tennis when I was younger. I loved it. And as I got older, well, kids happened and things happen. And now it's like, I don't even know if I could get back into it, but I used to when I was younger. So,
Did
wow,
you
that
try
is so,
pickleball? Have you tried pickleball?
no, I've never tried that.
Okay, pickleball I think is for you then. That's like
That's
the new tennis-like sport, but it's like a smaller court, so you don't have to run around.
inside a
Outside,
place. Oh, outside?
both. They have both, inside and outside.
Oh, okay. Well, down here in Florida, it's really hot outside. So I would
Yeah,
have
but
to
I feel like Florida might be like the pickleball capital of the country. Like,
really. Oh,
yeah, you've got
wow.
to have courts near you. Yeah. I haven't tried it
Oh,
yet, but we need to try it. His parents gave us a whole pickleball set last year, so we need to go
we
try it.
used to play, my husband and I, when we were first married, we used to play, it was called Smash Ball on the beach. It's
Uh-huh.
a special ball with these big, wide wooden paddles. And oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Because I like ping pong. And I like Smash Ball. But it's been forever. I mean, we haven't played that since the kids were like really little and everything. But wow, that's amazing that I would have been afraid, like after injuring my toes or my tendons like you did, I would have been petrified to go back out on the
Oh, I
court and
was.
do it again
I was. And also I
because
was a
it could.
runner.
Oh, wow. Because
Yeah.
yeah, because now
Yep.
you've weakened that part of your body. And I know that when I've sprained my ankle before, I'd sprain it again and again and again and again. And it just, my ankle got huge and I just had to stop wearing high heels. This was years ago. And so, but it's weakened. And so that was very brave of you to continue with the bucket list because you could have just given up. You could have just said,
Well,
I don't want to do it because I'm afraid I'm going to injure it again. I can't go through that again. I can't go through the healing process, but you just continued to do it, you
well, I mean,
know?
I think a big part of the story and of my experience were the obstacles. It was how was I dealing with the obstacles? And that's what we do on Modern Prairie too.
Yeah,
We do our challenges. It's always going to bring stuff up for people. And
it
that's what's
is.
really interesting is when you suddenly feel like you're hitting a brick wall because it's like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah,
And then and
I
then you
almost gave
do it.
up.
Did you?
Last yeah, oh gosh. I missed the first one, but I came in at the second one, which was the Find Your Voice, which is this was my desires to do a podcast and to get my voice out and to write a book. I'm still going to do the memoir thing. Um, but when I didn't want anybody, I didn't want to talk. I didn't feel like it, and I didn't want anybody to see me because I've gained so much weight. And but nobody knew that. I mean, nobody saw me prior to my weight gain, but it's like, no, I really don't, I don't desire that. And there was a couple of times that I almost deleted the app. And
Wow.
at first I didn't understand how the challenge, number one, I didn't understand what it was about.
Yeah.
I needed more clarity about it. And number two, once I got into it and I started seeing people posting videos and pictures of themselves doing stuff that, okay, when the challenge came, I can't even remember because I blanked out. I just did it. whatever the challenge was, I just did it. I don't even remember, but I just remember the feeling of going, I can't do this. There's no way. That isn't who I am. That's not what I'm about. I really don't care. Um, but I knew that I knew I signed up for this. And that's the other thing. I truly believe when a person signs up for something that they need to follow through with it. And I know that's not always
And
possible.
also the pledge card, Kim.
The
You filled out
pledge
your
card,
pledge
that's what
card.
I'm saying. I signed that pledge card. I took that picture, I posted it,
Yep.
and I said, I'm going to do this. And so I followed it through, and I was scared to death.
I'm
I
so
was,
sorry, and I have to pick my cat up. She's crying, but keep
oh,
going.
that's right. That's okay. I was
Fine.
scared to death of
Oh,
I almost quit and I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. I really got to see this through. And
was it seeing everybody else though? Sorry to interrupt you, but was it seeing all the
yes,
other people how they were scared too?
yeah, yes. I remember a couple of Prairies saying, I'm going out on a limb here. I've never taken a selfie. I'm very quiet. And one of those friends is in our cohort leader group that I just got done with at 6:30 or 7 o'clock tonight. And she has grown in leaps and bounds. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of these, a lot of the leaders, especially the leaders. I mean, they're leaders. I'm a leader. They're leaders. These are people. I mean, I'm half and half. I could have been a leader. I might not have been a leader, in regards to how I felt about getting myself out there, but I wasn't a wallflower. But there are some people that are now leaders that were wallflowers and were very subdued and very quiet. And now they're speaking and they're being heard and they're leading. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal what you and Stacy are doing and how it's a domino effect.
Mhm.
And the more challenges that you create, I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. And you're making leaders out of it. And I don't know, did you tell me what it was about? Did you tell me how you learned how to not talk? I don't remember if
Oh yeah,
you.
I got injured. That was the
Oh,
first time in my life that I was like, oh,
okay.
wait a minute, I'm not reacting as much to things, and things seem
That's
to
what
be
it
going
was.
better. That was the first
Right,
time that ever
right.
happened to me. Because I
Because
think,
you had to focus on you, on your
yeah,
healing.
yeah, well, yeah, and I just didn't have the energy, and and my whole project was like that too. And I often wonder if when you sign up for one of these Pioneer Project Do the Thing challenges,
Yeah.
if it becomes that way for the women in the challenge, like you've made a commitment to something that you're doing, and maybe the people around you are who aren't in it don't understand what this thing really like. Why do you have to go pick up trash today? Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's important to you because you gave your word, and
Yeah.
as soon as you become a person, I learned this from there's this really great writer and speaker named Carolyn Mays, Myss is her last name. She's one of my heroes. Um, she has this great lesson she gives where she says people always want to change their lives, but they can't even trust themselves. And if you can't honor your own commitments to yourself, then nothing's ever going to change. Like
That's
someone who's
right.
always going on a diet, or someone who's like, I'm going to stop procrastinating with organizing. Like it's like you're always talking about it but not actually doing it. And
Right.
as you do baby steps, like let's say instead of saying, "Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds," you could say, "I want to walk 3 times a week." I
Right.
can keep that commitment to myself, and then you
Right.
actually do it. Like that's the thing I learned with that was when I became a runner. First, I did a 5K. The next year, I did a half marathon, and the next year, I did a marathon. And that was before the bucket list. And I always say
Wow.
I never could have done the bucket list and written a book if I hadn't become a runner first, because it was the
Right.
first time in my life I ever had discipline, and it was fun because it was like my own little game, like kind of
Right.
like we do with the challenges. It was my own little experiment to see if I could do it, just to see,
Right. And
you know.
some people, like I don't want to throw my son under the bus. And just so you know, we have about 7 minutes left before we need to take a break. And
Okay.
then we'll come back with part two after the station break. But no, my son, I love him so much. And he's been struggling. He has a lot of disabilities, but he just he keeps saying next week I'm gonna just go on a fast and I'm gonna just stop all the junk food and he'll do it when he gets his mind made up and he does it, he loses the weight. But then when he has a bad day, for some reason he feels that he deserves to cheat. And don't we all sometimes like we'll say, "Oh, I'm just so depressed today. I'm going to eat some ice cream," you know? And all
Yeah.
that really does is it abuses our body. And but it's what we go to because it's comfort food. But with me, it's with the commitments and everything. If I don't I find that if I don't give myself too much to do and I just take it in baby steps and I'm motivated and I have to say to myself, okay, stop right now. Stop procrastinating. I'll do this tomorrow because it's never going to happen. I'm the kind of person that says, nope, that's it. I don't care how bad I feel. I don't care, I'm doing it. And
That's
I
great.
force myself to do it, and it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always. Sometimes I cry because it's like I don't want to do this. I don't feel like organizing my kitchen. I don't feel like going for a walk. I just want to hang out and watch TV. I don't want to not eat ice cream. I want to eat ice cream, you know, but I know what's good for me and I know what's bad for me. And I have to learn to not use my voice. Because now I'm learning to use it. And then sometimes I feel that I'm going back into that rut
Yeah.
where, oh no, I just stuck my foot in my mouth. I just pissed somebody off. I
Yeah,
just made somebody
sometimes you can
angry.
just do nothing.
Yeah, or I came across as arrogant and I came across as a know-it-all and that's how I lose people in my life because I'm a natural born leader, but sometimes I lead with too much voice. So I need to learn how to not use my voice at the right times. And then as far as the motivation goes, I just do it. It just when the time comes, I know like I been wanting to lose weight again and getting all the injections in my neck and the steroids and the pain and the chronic pain all the time. I've gained a lot of weight. I've gained 50 pounds. 50 pounds takes about a year to lose. And I've
Mhm.
been putting it off and putting it off. Oh, it's Mother's Day. Oh, it's this day. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. But I know once I'm determined to get something done, I do it. And I think that's what needs to be done. And I think by signing those commitments, you're saying to yourself, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's an accountability right there. That certificate or that commitment card, that is your accountability.
Yep.
And then when you see the others doing it, that is your motivation.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. I feel the commitment card is I mean, we gain accountability partners throughout the challenge, but the commitment card to me is a sealed, it's not a contract, but to me it's like I promise to do this and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Even if I don't feel good, even if I feel like, oh, this is making me so sick right now. I don't think I can go pick trash up at the beach or
Yeah.
anywhere. And I
I
really
really
don't care
don't
if
want to
the
go
earth is
ever.
polluted.
You know what's so cool about it is as you're saying this, I've realized this a little bit before, but now it feels really like it makes a lot of it's very crystal clear to me. The way we do the challenges is actually very similar to my experience doing my dad's bucket list because
Mhm.
I had all these people just show up in my life who had like the friend who could play tennis, or I had a cousin who was a landscaper who helped me with the grow watermelon with that list item. Like
Oh,
just
wow.
all these people showed up. I have a cousin who's a musician and he helped me with like the singing item. They have these talents and abilities and passions that just coincidentally match up with the things my dad wanted to do. So because they're showing up for me, I have to get the list item done because we're doing
That's
it
right.
together. And it's like the dares. You have to get the dares done because you're all doing it together. Meanwhile, I had this feeling the whole time that my dad's spirit was like right behind me, making sure
Wow.
I will not fall.
Wow.
And if I did fall, like with a tennis item, He's going to help me get back up again.
Right, which
I
you
always
did.
feel like that's who Stacy and I are in the challenges.
Yes.
Getting to
Oh,
be my dad's spirit for all of you. So you know
oh,
that there's someone there who's watching you. That's why I
right.
really take it upon myself to try to respond to every single post they write because it's
And
so
you do.
important. It's important. Even if
And you do.
I don't always say the right thing, but at least you know someone saw you.
Exactly. And I admire that because I did notice that because a lot of people can just like what you say and just put a little check mark that they like it. But you take the time to go ahead and see everybody's post. And I've noticed that because, that's my job as a liaison is to look at everything. And it's growing now. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard to keep track. But I admire that in you. Even if it takes a
Yeah.
little time, you're still doing it. And
Well, that's
that's
my role.
people, it shows people that you see them.
I think that's why Stacy and I decided we were like Bert and Ernie, because that's more.
Yeah,
I'm the Bert. That's more of the introvert's job. Like I'm gonna help you guys with like your inner selves. And
right.
Stacy is so extroverted, and so like she gets these ideas, and they're like way up here. Like they're
Yeah,
like so big, and I'm like, okay, let's do this first, and then that, and then,
right.
she's like, oh, thanks, Bert. But like she helps. I think she helps everybody to just be there to show your face, take a picture of yourself, like show your video, and she makes it seem so easy. And isn't it
Yeah.
amazing when you see all the stuff she runs now and how forward
Oh,
facing she is? Isn't it amazing there was a time she was afraid of being in a video?
yeah. Yeah. I know. I follow her and I on Facebook and everything, and I'm part of her groups and get invited to all of the lives and everything. I can't make them all, but she's definitely a motivational speaker. I mean, she's
Yeah.
definitely, so you guys are completely perfect together because it's a balance and you're there to, like you said, like your dad, like to help others and to motivate them that you can do this, and they feel that they're seen, like you felt that you were seen with your dad. I mean, his spirit, you said, is standing behind you. He sees you.
Yeah.
So why would you want to let him down? So when you're responding to all of those prairies who are having difficulty and you respond to them, you can do it. You can keep going. That was just great. They're seen. And when somebody is seen and somebody is heard, they don't give up. And that's what I'm all about, is not giving up. So with that said, we're going to take a station break
Okay.
and we'll be back. Welcome back to Doing Different Part 2. We've just had our station break, and Laura Carney is here with us, and we are going to be asking her a few more questions in regards to the PPP, what we've been talking about, Prairie Pioneer Project Challenge on Modern Prairie. And Laura, I'm wondering if you could just give our audience a sneak peek at what's coming next in the challenge of the PPP in your circle on Modern Prairie. What's coming up next? Are you able to talk about that, or?
I think it's okay. Yeah, it's going to be pretty soon. I think it's going to be end of June we're doing this. We still haven't done the
Mm-hmm.
panel yet, but
Right.
I'm very excited about it. I've come up with a bunch of really, really interesting people for it,
Oh, cool.
all of whom have some kind of expertise in writing about getting in touch with your inner child. Because the
Oh,
next one's got to be called Own Your Play.
right,
We're going to
right.
do stuff like playing that paddle ball game on the beach you were just talking about.
Yes.
Things that we remember that we've had a lot of fun doing, but maybe we don't always make time for in our busy lives. And I know I'm at a point, it's so funny how these things like we invent them, but then also like I need them at the same exact time because I've been like overbooked and burnt out lately. So I really need this myself. I think it's going to be super fun.
And I appreciate you coming on my podcast too, because I know that you're really busy and things are getting really busy. And
Oh
thank you
no,
so much.
actually, I'm trying. I'm having now to say no to things, and I'm starting to kind of simmer it down, and that's
Okay.
good. Like that's a part of like first I had to get better at saying yes, to taking on scary things. And now I'm at a new stage where I'm also having to learn how to say no. And that's a hard thing to do because
It
if
is.
you finally find your voice and then you put it out there into the world and suddenly you get positive responses to it, it's like there's this fear of like,
Yeah.
if I start saying no, it's going to go away, you know?
Right. And it's like, oh no, it's overwhelming me. And I don't,
And
I
that
need to
too,
say
yeah.
no, but I don't want to say no,
Yep.
but I think that you're pretty grounded. I think that
Oh, thank you.
you're pretty grounded and very
That's because you
balanced.
didn't see my meltdown yesterday.
Oh no. Well, you didn't see mine either. So
No, my
I want to
husband
see my
helped me.
meltdowns.
My husband's really good with that.
Mine happens in the garden when the June bugs are flying and hitting my head as hard as they can. And one followed me inside when I ran inside the house as quickly as I could, but it was dark and it's in my hallway and it's banging up against my paintings. And I'm
Oh.
like, oh no, if I squash this, it's going to get all over my paintings. And it's like, I hate bugs. But anyway, so
See,
that's a different
if that
story.
were me, I would immediately be on my computer. What do June bugs symbolize?
Right, exactly, right. I don't know what they
I mean,
symbolize,
it
but
came into the house.
my husband was telling me that locusts were attacking him yesterday by the sound of his saw. He was
Oh no,
sawing some wood, and these locusts, and I'm talking, these locusts, they look like
they're huge.
soldiers.
Yeah,
Like
they're scary.
we're in Florida. We're talking they have eyes and a face like a human, and they have armor and they're gross, and they were just banging up against his face. So yeah, we'll have to look up what that means too. What does locust symbolize and what does June?
I found it already. Here's what June bug symbolizes:
Oh no.
transformation and growth.
Woo! It was following me inside the
Yep,
house and going on my paintings.
yep. I
Oh
mean,
boy,
I
what does that
think
mean? What's
Carl
that
Young,
mean?
Carl Young would be having a field day.
Oh
That is
boy.
some spiritual stuff going on in
Well,
your
I'm
house.
hoping that I am going to be growing with painting. I mean, this is
Yeah.
that's my baby. I really want to do um painting therapy, and I've named it, for now, I've named it Prairian's painting. Oh my gosh, now I just forgot what it was. I sent it to you earlier, not with purpose. Oh, in their prime. Prairian's
Oh, I
painting
like
in
that.
their prime. Yeah. So, because we're in our prime, so.
Well, I think your transformation will happen in June because it's a June bug.
Ooh, June. That's right. We're gonna have to touch base and I'll let you know what happens in June.
Okay. I mean, you're dressing the part of a hippie right now, so we have to
I
talk
know,
like
right?
hippies.
I know it's pretty groovy, right?
Yeah. Anyway, back to
Groovy.
my interview.
I got my little light here shining.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Cute.
changing color disco. Anyway, so now what I'd like to, oh, yeah, I'm glad it's recording. Okay. Um, do you feel any parts of your story are unresolved or ready for the next evolution, or do you feel pretty much like you pretty much told your story? Do you think, I mean, we can always continue telling our story, but do you think there's anything unresolved?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my list now, and
Mhm.
I'm working on my confidence. I'm finding my confidence, my sense of identity separate from other people. It's interesting how being brave enough to own, I mean, that's what Own Your Play is going to be about. Like, I'm owning my own list, the things I actually want to do. That's not easy for me. It was
Mhm.
very different when I was like, I'm honoring my dad, and this is a person I loved who died tragically, and I'm giving closure to that. Like, that was a different thing. Now it's like, I'm driving in a way, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I'm making choices and I have to view myself as my own separate person. And that's not easy for me, I think, because I don't know, I think I'm an empath. I think
Yeah,
just part of who I am is
so
that,
am I.
like, I've been reading about them recently because I'm really trying to understand it better. And it's like the other day, I was reading something about it and it was saying how empaths, if someone starts crying, I'll start crying.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, I thought that everybody did that. I thought that was just
Mhm.
normal. No. Or like if I'm around
No.
a person who's angry, but they're not expressing that they're angry, I'll still know. And then
Yeah.
it makes me crazy because I like need to know what
Yeah.
what what did I do? And because
Yeah.
you can't not feel it because that's just how you're wired. And I'm like a sponge, like just
Yeah.
whatever around me is getting in here. And that's part of why doing my dad's bucket list, similar to when I started training as a runner, that's part of why that was so healing for me because like when I would take 30 minutes 2 nights a week and go out and, first it was walking, then it was faster walking. I never really got much faster than 11 or 12-minute miles. That's pretty mediocre. I wasn't, going for world records here. It was more,
Yeah.
I was be doing something that was good for me and also being outside and also
Right.
taking 30 minutes for myself. That helped me to get more in touch with what my thoughts are and what my feelings are. And if my boss did something that day, for example, and I was still holding on to it, that run that night, gone. Left it
Wow.
there in the park. And then when I started doing my dad's list, it was the same thing because I might have someone want me to commit to something. And it's like, I can't do that because I'm swimming across a river that day for this crazy bucket list I'm doing. But honestly, I have to say, I think it was the first time in my life where I was prioritizing a thing for me.
Yeah.
And that was for my dad. It was also for me. And I had no real explanation other than that. Like, it wasn't for work. It wasn't necessarily for the family who were living. Like, it was
Yeah.
this project. So, even though it was like baby steps, I think it's now prepared me to be like, you know what? Now I'm going to do my stuff. I'm going to do the stuff I want to do. And sometimes I feel really alienated, if I'm being honest, because a lot of
Yeah.
women my age are mothers. They have a lot more responsibilities in that realm than I have. And like feel like an alien a little bit because it's like, well, I have the freedom to do that, even
No,
if
don't
like
feel that
it
way. I
takes me
mean,
a
you
long
can feel,
time.
you can own, I mean, own your feeling. That's fine. But the
Yeah,
way that I see it is don't feel bad just because the norm is that other people have kids, because I know quite a few on Modern Prairie that don't, that are
yeah,
my age, that are 57, 58, 59. They've never had any kids.
yeah.
One of my friends is 62 and never had any kids. So I think that to each his own, and I don't think that other people should look down on others that don't have kids. And I know my daughter doesn't want kids, my son doesn't want kids, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I really don't.
No,
I think if I mean, I love my kids, and I'm old school because that was the thing you did. I mean, you got married and you had children. But if I lived today, I think what I would focus on is my career, my health, um, and my empathy towards other people and helping them to be seen and heard. I mean, that's to me, that's the most important thing, to be seen and to be heard.
a
Because that's
great
what
thought.
brings, if you're not seen and you're not heard, that's what causes depression.
Yeah,
If you're repressing and you're not sharing, and you're trying to talk to people, but nobody cares and nobody hears you. And I have to be honest with you, even today, I was feeling sort of like what you just said and of how you felt. Like, um, what was that?
different.
Just different, people are thinking badly of me, and
Oh,
that's
oh,
something.
oh, over personalizing. Yeah.
Yeah, over personalizing it. Like, did I say something wrong? Do they look at me as being bossy or controlling, or do they look at me as, you know, it just, I'm always having to watch what I say and how I say it. And so that's something that I'm working on. Um, but that's pretty interesting though, about how, you're stepping into the next evolution of yourself and how you're going to do something now for you. And I think that that preparation, I mean, even though the book and everything that you did, the bucket list and everything was also for you, it was also for your dad.
I didn't know
And
it was when I started. I thought it was activism. I really didn't know.
oh,
Didn't know
wow.
how much. I didn't know how much I needed it.
Yeah. And you've grown through it. And I can see by everything that you've explained, I can see the effects of what it's done for you. And now I'm excited to, are you going to be writing a book about your bucket list, or what's your
Maybe,
next book going to be?
maybe someday. Right now I'm just doing it. And
Just do
I've
it, right?
given myself deadlines. I have my Google Calendar set up just like I did with my dad's. So I'm it's sort of always there. Like I'm still always doing it. But I am going to write a second book, and that one is going to be, I don't know if you've noticed, sometimes on Fridays, if we're waiting for another challenge to start, I'll share like a really interesting woman from history.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's part of my second book. I've been collecting these names of women who were the first person to do something. Like not
Oh,
just the first
wow.
woman, but the first person.
First
And
person.
I want to get up to about 365 names because what I want to do is make a book where it's a different woman for every day
Oh,
of the not
wow.
Fridays, but every day. Because to me, like change comes from repetition. So if you're
Yes.
learning a new woman who maybe you've never even heard of before, but she like was the first to climb a mountain in South America, for example, which all the
Oh,
about. So then they hit her from history, because that really did happen. Um,
oh,
if you learn about enough of those people, after a while, that seems normal.
yeah. It'll be
Just like,
interesting.
yeah,
Have you found 365?
300.
No
Yeah,
way.
300. Yeah. So I'm very excited about this because the other thing I think I'm doing is I'm going to find a way to redefine what being a 47-year-old woman is. Because
Wow.
instead of thinking these things all the time, which are alienating thoughts, which are, oh, I don't have kids, so I'm different. And it could be anything for anybody. It could be, I'm not married, so I'm different, or
Yeah,
I don't have a career, so I'm different, whatever it is for you. You don't have to think about it that way. Instead, you could say, well, maybe I'm this way for a reason.
that's
Maybe I'm
right.
meant to do this. And maybe if
That's
I
right.
did the other thing that I'm thinking that makes me different that I'm not doing, maybe that actually might, for me personally, that could get in the way of this other
Yeah,
thing I'm supposed to do. So
yeah.
I think it's like I just need to see enough examples of it so that I finally find like a confidence in it, and then I won't have that problem anymore.
And that's what this podcast is about, is doing different.
Mhm.
Embrace doing different, because we've been brainwashed in this society that if you do anything different, you're weird, you're
Mhm.
unloved, you're not accepted, you don't belong in the circle of, you're ousted. And that's why this podcast is for people who are doing different, people who are outside of the norm. It's also for
Yeah.
people who are inside of the norm. Everybody, some some way or another, as time goes on, you're gonna end up doing different. So I had the white picket fence. I had the marriage, the white picket fence, the minivan, the boy, the girl. Everything was fine. That was what was told in society. That's normal. Okay. And then all of a sudden, it starts falling away,
Mhm.
piece by piece, the perfect puzzle that you put together. The pieces start getting lost and they start falling off. And now you're doing different. And
Yeah.
I fought it, Laura, I fought it for so long. I went into such anxiety and depression and was on medication, just learning to deal with this. How can this be happening to me? This hurts. I don't want things to change. I don't, um, no, it's not supposed to be like this. No, he wasn't supposed to die. Or, no, I wasn't supposed to lose that baby.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't supposed to lose my house of 20 years. I wasn't supposed to get run over. Uh, and it's
And that's
constantly,
how people get stuck in grief for 20 years. They're stuck
exactly.
in what
And
should have happened.
exactly. And you have a choice, and that's what causes bitterness. And that's what causes the growth to be stunted. You stunt your growth if you stay in that. So
Hmm.
I had a choice. I could give up. I've thought about taking my life in the past because things that were happening, or you can embrace different. And I
Yeah.
love how you're embracing your difference. You're different in life. You don't have to be like every other 47-year-old.
No.
And I admire you. I mean, I think it's awesome. And I wish that I had the freedom back then. But at the same time, I love my kids. But I'm just saying that it's different, and just embrace it. I love that about you, about how you're just sharing your next evolution of what's going to be happening and all about yourself. And yeah, just embrace it. Now, what kind of patterns do you notice that are reoccurring though in your journey, like that you would like to transform? Is there anything that you want to transform that keeps reoccurring? I don't know if we've touched on that already. If you were saying,
Yeah, I think so. I think similar to what I was saying earlier about learning how to say no. Like I
yes, that's
realized
what
the
I
other
thought.
day, like, oh, I'm struggling with like if I start saying no, then what if I start losing some of this new
Right.
life I've built for myself? That's really not any different than back when I was a full-time worker in magazines and I would stay very late at night and I would just kind of become a slave to my dream of that career. And
Yeah.
I would never say no to anything. And I was just always trying to prove myself, right? And it's like, isn't it crazy that now what I'm doing is built by me, and yet
Yeah.
I'm still trying to prove that I deserve it? Like I'm still trying to prove that I belong here just
Well,
because
it's a
that's just
mindset.
a pattern. Yeah.
It's
That's
a
just an
pattern.
overachiever pattern I have. Like, I think it's okay for me to talk about this as long as, when will this podcast be aired?
I'm gonna try to get it edited tonight and aired tomorrow, or it might even be done tonight. We'll have to
Okay.
see, or
I think
tomorrow.
this is okay. This week, they're going to announce that my book, My Father's List, was just chosen as the One City, One Book Award in
Oh
Greensboro,
my
North Carolina.
gosh, congratulations. What's
Thank
that?
you.
Say that again.
Greensboro, North Carolina is the city.
Oh my
And it's been announced
gosh.
this week. So I think it's okay. I talk about it, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about it because that means 900 people are going to read my book at once. And I'm going to go to the
Oh,
city. I'm going to help plan the events. We're probably going to do like something with Modern Prairie. We're still kind of shaping that. But it's so amazing. I get chills even just thinking about it. But
that
then,
is,
of course, there's still that little part of me that's like, do I
yeah,
deserve like, and the thing is, it's not even imposter syndrome. I don't have that. Like, I don't feel like I as a person aren't worthy. I know that I wrote something that people are benefiting from, and it makes sense. It's more, how can I put it? I think it's more, can I maintain this? That's what,
yeah,
because, and I'm so happy I'm talking to you about this because I feel like you can relate with being a sensitive person. And for most of our lives, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you'll probably agree with this. Being that sensitive person, people almost view it as a weakness or
yeah,
as something that makes it so that you can't handle things because
yeah,
you're feel what you feel and you can't shut it up and you can't
that's right.
and I think I really would love to get to a place in my life where I stop looking at myself as the person who screws things up when something really good happens. So again, like it's not an imposter syndrome. It's more, wow, I'm building something and it keeps
Right,
getting bigger and I can handle it. I'm not going to be the reason this self-destructs,
right.
like it's not going to destruct, but even if it did, it's not going to be anything that I did. And that's huge. That's huge
It
growth.
is.
And even earlier, when you were talking about that feeling that I relate to so well of, did I piss someone off? Like, are people upset with me? It occurred to me, what if it's true that the reason we're so sensitive is because we're leaders?
Right, right.
So
And we
leader
are
should,
going to go through that. Yeah.
right?
Say that
Like
again.
I'm saying a good leader should have the ability to pick up on the vibe in the room and to
Yes,
know how the people they're leading feel.
yes.
So it could
But at the
actually be a
same
gift.
time, yeah, at the same time, that empathy and that discernment can be a thorn in one side if you don't know how to handle it, and
Yep.
if you don't know how to overlook it. I'm going through that today. I'm
Yeah.
going through it right now. Even as I'm speaking, my heart is just I'm trying not to think about what happened today. And, because it's that feeling like you were saying, oh, you got all you're getting the recognition now, and you feel that you don't really deserve it, or it shouldn't be this way or whatever. But then
Well,
at the other,
can I handle it is more.
can you handle it? Right. And with me, what I was saying today to someone is every time I get ahead and every time my dreams come true, something happens that sets me back, not just one step, but all the way to the beginning. And it changes. And then I feel like giving up and I feel that I'm no good and I wasn't meant to do it. And this time I'm not going to let that happen. This time I know that just like with the book and everything and with all the recognition, we deserve it. We deserve to be seen as the leaders that we are, and we're good leaders because we're empathetic and we can relate to other people. And if other people don't like that and and they're offended by that or they're envious of that, that's not my problem. That's not anybody, that's not any leader's problem. That's the other person's problem. And that's where they need to go get therapy for that because,
Well,
you know,
can I add one more thing though that I think is
yeah,
important? Justice is a man-made concept. And I think
yes,
sometimes for me, when I get into the emotion of anger in particular, it's because it's like I get my Irish up, like I feel it here first, right? And then just
yeah,
like a red ball of fire, and I need to
yeah,
act. And one thing I've been trying to remember lately is that, like, as human beings, it's not our job to get justice. God does that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and if you just wait and you do nothing, you'll find that it works out in the end, some way.
absolutely.
So I've really been leaning into my faith lately and just trusting in the truth and that just being a good person, eventually things work out, and I don't have to right every wrong and fix everything that happens.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at too, is just trusting God that, I mean, He's got my back. He knows what's best for me. He knows what's best for us. He's not going to let us down. We just have to
Yeah.
tune into, we have to realize that and we have to let it go. And I find that sometimes it's so much better for me to just stop thinking about it and just let it go. And tomorrow's another day and it will resolve itself. And if it doesn't resolve itself, then it wasn't meant to be.
And you know what? To bring that back to Modern Prairie, that's what Modern Prairie is all about.
That's
I
right.
think one of the reasons I feel like I belong there is everybody there has some kind of faith about them.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like the more mainstream ones. It could be anything, but they're very
Right.
faith-driven women.
Yes.
And my faith got so much stronger when I was doing my dad's bucket list, because just like I was finding people who showed up and helped me, somewhere along the way, even more than thinking my dad's spirit's right behind me, I started feeling like the whole universe around me wants me to succeed. And maybe this weird coincidence just happened for a reason, or
Yeah.
maybe that ladybug just showed up to give me a vote of confidence. Like I started seeing
Right.
heart shapes every day. But what a different way to go through life, because before I felt very almost like separate from God, and like, God's here up in the sky and I'm here and I'm just
Right.
trying to, make it as a human. But as I started going on this journey, I started to feel like, oh, no, God's in my heart, and God's in
Yes.
everybody else's hearts. And really, when you set out to do something, you're supported and God wants you to succeed. Like that was such a different way for me to feel. And I think the togetherness, the collaborations that you see in Modern Prairie, there's so much like that. We're all trying to help each other succeed. And I think that's why it's so powerful and it's such a special place.
Exactly. And it's non-judgmental. And
Yep.
the Bible says that if God is for you, who can be against you?
Okay, you just summed
Nobody.
it all up.
Nobody can be against you if God is for you, and He is for you.
Yep.
And so He created us. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the
That's a mic
only
drop.
reason. Yes. Count. Um, no, the only reason why I don't give up is because I know that He has a plan. I just got to get out of His way.
Yep.
Just let it unfold and get out of his way, and he will bring you to the paths that you never thought that you'd ever walk.
Yep.
And that's happened with me this past year. And again, like I said, it feels like it's being taken away from me. And but that's okay. If it is
That's
taken,
to make
because
you stronger.
well, where God will close doors, but he's
Yep.
not going to close a door unless he opens another
Yep.
door.
Yep.
So as long as I stand on that truth, that, okay, if this chapter of my life is closing, well, there's going to be another one, but I'm not going to sink back down into that depression on the couch, eating ice cream and chips and cry, maybe for a day, but not forever, So I'm just saying that I've come too far now, and God is leading me, and I'm listening to him, and I'm following him, and I'm not going to allow other people to dictate how I feel. And that's hard for an empath because um, you can pick up on how other people feel about you. And that boy, that can really like stab you right in the heart. Like, why are you feeling that way? Why do you think that way? What can I do to make you not feel that way?
Yep.
Is there anything that I can do to serve you and to make it so that you don't hate me? Um,
Yes.
and
You're
it's like, what
speaking
can
my language.
yeah. And the more you do that, the more you push them away
Also, we
because,
tend to be very honest. Have you
oh
noticed?
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't
And
have
I'm
the
hated for that.
calculations or strategy. We're not manipulative. We couldn't even begin to imagine what that is.
No, no, people
Too
don't
much work.
understand. And one thing that I am not fake. I
Right.
am not fake. I can't stand when people are fake to your face and then they're different behind your back. That is
As an
something that I
empath, you
cannot,
know. You always
a-
know.
as an empath, and that makes it so hard to stay in friendships, and you got to really work through it, but
Yeah.
you got to make sure as an empath that you're not people pleasing that person. Okay, so I'm getting a notification right now that we have
You're
10
running
more
out of time.
minutes.
Sorry. Did you have more questions? I'm sorry, Kim.
Yeah,
I could just talk to you all night.
I know this is so much fun. My last question is, what primary influential work or expertise that you'd like the audience to leave here knowing today? What's your influential work? Is it your book? Is it your next book? What would you like the audience to know about your expertise and your influential work that you want to leave them with today?
Oh, mine? Oh gosh.
Yes.
I thought you were saying the people who influence me because I have a long list of those.
No, no. What's your
You know,
primary
right
influential
now,
work?
it's probably Modern Prairie. It's probably the class that I teach because it's really growing and it's so
Yeah.
exciting. And I feel like I have found a lot of kindred spirits on there, as you would say, like-hearted people
Yes.
who are
Yes.
doing different.
Or like,
And
yeah,
it's
right. Doing different.
such a cool thing to, especially the Follow Your Heart challenge, because Stacy let
Yeah,
me sort of steer that one. And I was
that was
very
good.
nervous about it. But I got back in touch with that little girl I was who saw the lonely person on the playground and would always be the
Yes.
person who went over and talked to her. And I
Yes.
got to teach that this time. So it was
Yes.
cool thing, like validating for me that, oh, there's a place for me as that sensitive little girl in this world, and it's a good place. And it's
That is
helping
so,
people like get back in touch with their hearts because I think we're living in kind of a cold time right
yeah.
now. People are
Yeah.
very guarded and cynical.
And not only that, but with social media and everything,
Yeah.
so people don't even, these young kids, teenagers, whatever, 20-year-olds, they don't even know how to think of themselves. They can only think of what other people think of them or society tells them that they are. They don't even have the
Yeah,
opportunity to
that's a
sit back
shame.
and think,
I don't
who
want to
am I?
generalize, but it is a shame that the younger people, they've been raised with social media, so they don't know
Oh
anything.
yeah. And social media has formed their thoughts as to who
Yeah.
they are. And they need to like get back to, I should write a book about that. But
I mean,
anyway,
that makes me feel like I have a place, though, Kim. Thank
it
you.
does. It
Because
does. And I love that.
I really value thinking for yourself. That's what my dad stood for. So if you want to learn
Yes.
the origin story of that, go by my father's list. That's my book. But my next book is going to be A Woman Got There First, because I'm very
Ooh,
excited to learn more about the kind of woman I'm going to be.
that is so cool. That's so exciting. And can you give your do you have a website? Do you
Yeah,
have
bylauracarney.com, like a byline, B-Y.
B-Y, by
Laura Carney.
lauracarney.com.
My
Okay, and you
wonderful
can,
husband will probably give it an overhaul soon. I mean, it's time for a redesign.
and your book is available on Amazon
Yep.
too?
Mhm.
Okay, so, and that's My Father's List.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for episode 7 of Doing Different. I want to thank you, Laura, for sharing your journey of doing different, following your heart, and finding your voice with our audience today. It was such a pleasure to have you on my podcast. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited that you came. And I want to tell our audience not to forget to subscribe, like, and share this podcast so we can help other women over 50, or any woman for that matter, find their voices and do different. You can follow me on IG at MP Prairie and Kimmy, and on YouTube, my YouTube channel called Doing Different with Kimmy. On Spotify, you can find me at Heart Minded Pocket Heroes, and my episodes called Doing Different. And if you are a woman over the age of 50, under the age of 50, and you're aging gracefully and you want to share your story on doing different, please send me an email at btelskcmb@yahoo.com. And you can also go to my website at doing-different.com. And until next time, keep on doing different. Bye-bye. Bye, Laura.
Oh, we're done. Okay. Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye.
care.